Test, test, test.
I am really happy all of you are here because I have an urgent message to share. Christmas, the 25th of December, it's now 6 days and 14 hours away. Until then, please watch this show. It's The Sweat. I'm Emerson Lotzia, sports betting and fantasy advice that'll stuff even the deepest stocking to the brim. And with that, good morning to our NBA panel. DK Nation NBA editor Ben Zwyman. Wow, you are up and at it this morning. RotoWire's Alex Baruta and host of the Four Seasons podcast for Ball is Life, Ryan Mogjosh. Dudes, cover to cover is where it's at right now. So we're looking at spreads on tonight's 9-game slate. You tell us, you tell me who you think covers and why. We'll start at Miami, visiting Philadelphia, 76ers, 7.5-point favorite. Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, this is a weird line, right? The Sixers are really good at home. They're undefeated. They're 14-0. But really, this is a matchup of two of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. So really, it should be a lot tighter, right? I don't think the Heat should be this big underdogs. So honestly, I think the Heat cover the 7.5-point spread. I think this game will be close. I think you'll get a playoff atmosphere type of game. Joel Embiid's coming back from illness, so like the Sixers should be at full strength pretty much. But yeah, I don't think that really matters too much. So yeah, I think this will be a competitive game, and I think it'll be tight. So I think the Heat cover.
Ryan, do you agree? Should this spread be tighter?
I do agree. And I'm also taking Miami. Both these teams are coming off of bad losses. Philly to Brooklyn and then Miami to Memphis the other day. As crazy as it sounds, Philly's kind of underachieving despite being 20-8 this year. It's weird to say, but they should be up there with the Milwaukees and the Lakers, in my opinion, as far as play style. But the one reason why I picked Miami in the points is this is the Jimmy Butler revenge game. This is Jimmy's first time going back to Philly. I expect Jimmy to have a huge game, and the Miami Heat go as Jimmy goes.
Ooh, Alex, you taking us down narrative lane here?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, the 76ers being 14-0 at home, that really matters. But it's hard to imagine the spread pushing up to -8 or -8.5. I think if you're just going off where you think the value is in the number, I think you do have to go with the Heat here. You know, the 76ers, they won the first game. It was a pretty dominant effort. Josh Richardson played really well. Jimmy Butler kind of struggled. But yeah, this number does seem a little big despite the 76ers overall talent and how well they play at home.
Ryan, the Raptors are a 5-point favorite at Detroit. Who covers?
Toronto covers. I don't like the way the Pistons are playing right now. Blake is hurt. I'm yet to see if he's a go tonight or not. Drummond has an avocado eye, and he wasn't playing last game either. So I'm taking Toronto -5, and it should be higher, I feel like.
Alex, it's the attack of the avocado inside that Detroit locker room. So is this an easy cover for Toronto?
It should be. I was surprised this line was only -5, especially with Drummond and Blake Griffin questionable. And even if they do play, the Raptors have Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka to kind of match them in the front court. So they're not going to get any easy buckets there. There's hardly anybody else I trust on the Pistons to get points except maybe Derrick Rose. Raptors won by 12 in the first game. I think that's a pretty easy script that they could follow this time. And yeah, especially with the chance that Griffin and Drummond are out, this should be a relatively easy win for Toronto, even though they'll be out Fred VanVleet.
Benny Z, this spread here, expect the expected or expect the unexpected?
Yeah, I'm with the guys. I don't really see any reason to really bank on the Pistons tonight, especially when Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond could be game time decisions. So they'll likely not play, but I mean, you really can't risk it there. So if both of them are out again, this is a no-brainer for the Raptors. Even if one of them returns, even if both of them ended up playing, I really don't like. The Raptors are still a very good team and should be able to cover, a 5.5-point spread. I think now, surprisingly, it's actually down to 4.5 on DK Sportsbook, if I'm looking correctly.
Yeah, breaking news.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting pretty good value on the Raptors at -4.5. The Pistons aren't a particularly good home team, and the Raptors are actually pretty decent on the road. So, yeah, I mean, I think you got to take the Raptors.
Alex, who are you taking here between the Celtics and the Mavericks? Celtics 2-point favorites on the road. They're coming off 5 days of rest here, but Dallas just knocking off the Bucks, ending their 18-game win streak.
Yeah, I think I might be a little biased because I was in Milwaukee and was at that Bucks Mavericks game. So I think I do want to take Dallas here. I mean, they were really a problem with the size that they have and the 3-point shooting they have. They're playing this 5-out offense, playing really good defense. They looked fantastic, and I don't know if the shooting will keep up. You mentioned the Celtics rest, but I think they might just carry the momentum. And, with Tatum questionable for the Celtics and Marcus Smart out, there's a chance that the Celtics are going to be down like 2 huge core pieces of their team. And if that's if that ends up being the case, I think Rick Carlisle at home with the Mavericks having a ton of momentum, I think they can pull this off and be the, take the win as the home underdog.
Yeah, Ben, what do you think? Dallas, only team in the NBA to have beaten the Western Conference leading Lakers and the Eastern Conference leading Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a spot where the Mavericks are riding high, and a lot of people sort of lean towards this spread, right? They'll probably start betting the Mavericks +2. So I think if it gets a little bit if it gets out of control and the Celtics in the afternoon start maybe getting +1, maybe getting points at some point, I think that's where you sort of have to jump on the Celtics because I think Marcus Smart probably won't return, but I think they will be healthy for the most part for the rest of their rotation. And they're coming off 2 losses. This is a team where Brad Stevens is a great coach, so I think he's going to get them ready for this game. And really, I think this is where he can game plan to sort of exploit the fact that the Mavericks don't have Luka Doncic. So yeah, I think maybe right now with the Celtics -2, it's not so appealing. I still kind of think the Celtics pull this one out. I think it's a line where you sort of have to monitor it throughout the day. And if the Celtics, line starts looking favorable, I think that's where you jump on it.
Yeah, Marcus Smart, I believe, not traveling with the team because he's got an eye infection in not one, but both eyes. Celtics a little beaten up on the inside right now. Ryan, who do you take in this matchup?
I'm taking Boston -2. And I was the first person to say, and I am in love with the Dallas Mavericks. I love their bench depth. I think they have the deepest bench in the league. But I also think the win against Milwaukee was kind of fluky in a way. They shot the lights out, and Kate Borzi had his best game of his entire season. He is the guy now that Luke is out, but I just think they come back down to earth a little bit. versus Boston, who is another great team. They're riding high, but I think they get shot down by Boston.
Okay, Golden State at Portland. Portland at home, 9.5-point favorite. Ben.
Yeah, this is a tough one to call because the Blazers have been such an enigma this season. They added Carmelo Anthony, and they're still sort of struggling. They're still sort of, winning a couple games, losing games. The Warriors have just been awful. They've lost 4 in a row. They're 3-13 on the road. I think I'm going to lean the Blazers just because this seems like a game where Damian Lillard can really do whatever he wants, and I think he'll get whatever he wants in this game. I think Eric Pascal is going to play for the Warriors, but I don't know how much that matters really. D'Angelo Russell's back, but this should be just one of those up and down kind of games. Absolutely no defense from either side really. But yeah, I think you have to lean with the better player in this matchup, and I'm banking on Dame really going off, and I think the Blazers can eventually pull away and cover the spread.
Ryan, it's a thick spread here, 9.5, man. Can Portland get it done?
It is thick, and I think Ben nailed it. This one's gross to me. I'm picking Portland minus 9.5, but Dame is the reason. Like, he's the best player in this game, and that's the reason I'm going with Portland. Golden State's super unpredictable. They'll lose by 20 to the Kings, and then they'll hang close with the Jazz for a while, and they get spanked by the Hawks. Like I said, it's gross, and if I had to pick, I'm picking Dame minus 9.5.
How gross is this, Alex?
It's very gross. The Warriors actually won this first matchup by 9 points, so that's unbelievable. Maybe Steve Kerr just has a great game plan for the Blazers since they play each other 4 times in the Western Conference Finals. It's just really hard to take Golden State here. Portland, I don't want to call this in December, there's not a lot of must-win games, but like if they lose this at home, they're going to 11-17 on the season. That's really rough for them. So I think they really actually need this game, and at home, I think they'll be able to get up for it and cover the 9.5.
Alex, got a bonus question for you. Pelicans just played last night. They're on the road now in Minnesota. You got the T-Wolves favored by 7. You think Minnesota covers this one easily?
They should. I don't know if Karl Anthony Towns is playing. I think last night he got diagnosed with a knee sprain, and I'm not a medical expert, but generally guys don't just play the next game after they're diagnosed with a knee sprain.
Yeah, especially the big dudes like that.
Yeah. So I would maybe lean towards the Pelicans here because of that.
Okay, because of that injury there, Ryan, or the potential of Towns not playing, let's say he doesn't. You might want to hammer the Pelicans here? Yeah,
both teams play really fast. I don't hate the Pelicans pick here, even though they're stupid young. Their average age is like 23, but I'd go with Brandon Ingram and the Pels.
Ben, what would you do?
I just can't. I can't with the Pelicans. I figured they were better than their record suggested. This was before this very long losing streak. I still think if Cat's out, the T-Wolves have enough to cover the spread. If it were double digits, then yeah, sure, the Pelicans probably could maybe pull that out. But on the road, I don't see it. The Pelicans are just so bad defensively. And I think the Timberwolves, outside of Cat, still have a pretty decent roster with Jeff Teague, Andrew Wiggins. Jarrett Culver's played really well in his rookie season. Josh Okogie's been playing a lot of minutes in the starting lineup. So, yeah, I still think the Timberwolves at this -7 without Cat would cover. But I still think Cat will probably get in tonight. He's questionable. So, yeah, we'll see.
Gentlemen, that's how we start a show. Who's going to be hot, who's going to be not tonight is coming up with you three in just a moment. But first, Johnny Avello hooks us up with an NFL Week 15 DK Sportsbook recap.
Gave away some money this weekend. So let's talk about how some of the players made that money. There was a 310 6-team money line parlay. Texans, Chiefs, Pats, Vikings, Seahawks, and Bears. The return on that, $10,300. Then we had a $150 7-teamer that had the Texans, Chiefs, Giants, Pats, Packers, and Eagles with the point spread, and then it had the Seahawks on the money line. That returned $12,400. And this is the biggie right here. This is the one I really love, this parlay. $750 9-teamer. Packers, Eagles, Chiefs on the point spread, and had the Bucks, Texans, and Seahawks, Pats, Giants, and Nebraska Omaha in college basketball money line to return $63K. Nice going, great payoff. Let's move to the future in the NFL this coming weekend. Rams in San Francisco. San Francisco, a 6.5 point favorite. Rams, slim shot at the playoffs. San Francisco, a shot at that division and possible 1 seed. Bills and the Patriots. Patriots, a 6.5 point favorite. This is for the flat out division. Who thought the Bills could ever get there and challenge the Patriots for this spot? We have the Cowboys and Eagles. Eagles, 2.5 point favorite. 2 7-7 teams vying for the division. Somebody's got to win it. On Monday night, the Packers 11-3 play the Vikings 10-4. The Vikings are a 4.5 point favorite. This is possible division game decider, and the Vikings have won 3 of the last 4 with a tie. So, they've been playing well against this team. The season's winding down, but the action is hotter than ever, and let's keep it hot.
You know it's legit here on The Sweat when we hit you with the quad box. Look at this gorgeous NFL panel this morning. DraftKings contributors, Reed Fowler, Steve Buchanan, Jeff Ulrich. Jeff, what are you doing there? Looks like you're taking a sip of something delicious. The fantasy girl, Rosalie Michaels, is here as well. I can't read what your mug says. What does it say?
I told you. My wife does Ironman. She's got like a million of these things, okay? I'm just taking credit.
How big is that mug?
It looks
big enough.
It looks bigger than your head, and that's saying something, Jeff.
No, it's got a few head.
Boom! Roasted! Yes! Finally, I get hit with that stamp. All right, good. Everyone's feeling great. Everyone is very caffeinated this morning. And now for the millions of people watching around the world, will the following totals go over or under? Please have some facts and figures to back up your argument. Rams at 49ers. The over-under here is 45. Jeff, what say you?
One's interesting. I think this is a really close call either way. The Rams have not been good at hitting the over as the away team the last couple of years. Only 5-11 in that regard. But I'm still going to take the over here. I just feel like these defenses haven't really been performing up to snuff. The San Francisco 49ers definitely a little bit banged up, and it showed last week. I think these two teams' offenses are kind of in bounce-back spots. The 49ers have been putting up points every week, too, so I'm going to take the over here.
Rosalie, these two offenses in bounce-back spots?
Well, maybe San Francisco, but I don't know that the Rams are going to have it in them against this really good San Francisco defense. Since the bye week, the Rams have only given up big points to Dallas and Baltimore, and they've also only those are the only 2 times that they've gone over this 45-point total. So I think that the 49ers are going to have an easier time scoring than the Rams are. I think the Rams are going to find themselves back in the position of not scoring as many points. So I'm going under here slightly, but still under.
Steve, these offenses going to kind of figure it out here this week?
Yeah, look, I mean, Rosalie mentioned the 49ers defense. I mean, it's been absolutely putrid over the past couple of weeks. Over the last 3 games, allowing an average of 31.7 points. That's to the Ravens with 20, the Saints 46, the Falcons at 29. Like, they've just been getting gashed through the air, on the ground. And now, look, the Rams have been pretty good on offense, too, as well. Jared Goff is on the road, which has been better for him. He's performed better on the road than he has at home. So I think this game has a very good chance of hitting the over. The San Francisco's 49ers defense is not one that you're really looking to avoid at this point. They've been dealing with a brash number of injuries, and I think that's finally caught up to them. So they're dealing with some big stuff there right now.
Reed, over or under 45 for Rams at 49ers?
I'm going under here, and this is really no trust in the Rams. I get it. The 49ers defense has been bad of recent, but they've been unhealthy. They get Sherman back, who, according to PFF, he is the number 1 cover corner through week 15, which is crazy to think that Richard Sherman at his age, after that Achilles injury, I know that was a few years ago, is playing as well as he is, and it's just because of that that defensive line in San Francisco. But look at the Rams. You just really can't trust what they're able to do after a loss. Even in the division, they haven't hit the over at all. They're 1-3, 1-4. And overall, the Rams are 5-9. The 49ers can really play a style of football that dictates whatever it is in that game. They can play up to the Saints and the high-powered offense, or they can play that run, that strong defense, that run game like they had in Baltimore, even though they lost. So I just don't think that this is going to hit the over. I just don't trust the Rams at all.
Hey, Rosalie, Steelers at the Jets, pretty low total here, over under 37.5. I believe the Steelers win out these last 2 games. They're in the playoffs. So what do you think?
Yeah, and that's the big deal, right? But still, you got to look at the Steelers at this over/under point. When they're home, they are 0-6 on the over/under, 0-6, and then 2 and then. I mean, it just has all the feels of an under game. Yeah, Pittsburgh is playing for their playoff implications, right? But early in the season, Pittsburgh had those high-scoring games. But 5 out of the last 6 of their games have been under this point total. And the one game that wasn't was against the Arizona Cardinals with a pitiful defense. The Jets are not a pitiful defense. Jets were able to put up 21 points versus Baltimore, but that was garbage time and then the defensive score. So I just don't think the Jets are going to be able to put up the points. And I think this stays even at 37.5, I think it stays under.
Yeah, Steve, even with just Pittsburgh alone, their quarterback play is just so damn unpredictable.
Oh, it's awful. They have such an awful array of quarterbacks over with the Steelers. They're 3-11 on hitting over this year, which is, as you can tell, probably one of the worst in the league. Like, they're just generating no offense. Like, Hodges went out and faced the Cardinals. He had like 152 passing yards against them. How do you only generate 152 passing yards against the Cardinals? No offense, Rosalie. I could go down there, play the Cardinals. I could throw for 200 yards myself, and I only play with my buddies and sometimes Emerson when we randomly get a game in the Boston Public Garden. I could throw against this team. Like, it's just absolutely pathetic. And then the Steelers do have a very good pass rush. There is that there. Sam Darnold is taking about 3.2 sacks per game, so I think he's going to have issues getting rid of the ball as well. You're not going to run against the Steelers, so I think this is 100% and under.
Reed, you agree 100% and under?
Yeah, and let's go back to that game in the Boston Gardens. I saw Steve throw the ball. It was all right, but let's just say I had a Drew Brees-like game. 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. This guy, everyone cares.
He's giving stats. Okay.
The stats that really matter, right? That people want to watch. No,
get the no one cares. Thank you.
The last 5 games, like for the Pittsburgh Steelers, their touchdowns in terms of on the offense goes 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. They cannot score touchdowns on offense, and it is predicated specifically to this offense. And look, Mike Tomlin has this team playing way better, and that's much to the benefit of the defense, right? The responsibility of that defense, who is number 3 in defensive DVOA. This offense is garbage. They cannot score. And the Jets, if they're not the type of offense that's going to do it on their own against this Pittsburgh defense, this is definitely an under.
Jeff, definitely an under here with these 2 incredible teams.
Definitely gonna have to come out there next year and go run Reed back for a pick 6.
No way.
Look, at this point total, 37.5, they are begging you to take the over, the sports books, because no one's gonna bet the over in this game, and rightfully so. Why would you? This is one of the slowest paced teams in the Jets. And then you have the Steelers, who obviously we know they can't put up points. Their whole offense is run James Conner twice, throw a short pass, and hope it doesn't get picked off. This will probably get down to like 35. I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is legit. The Jets defense is okay. It's certainly enough to stop Doc Hodges from going off. At 37.5, it's a clear under for me.
Steve, what do you expect with the Cardinals and Seahawks here? Maybe a lot of points. Odds makers have the total at 50.5.
Yeah, this one's really, really high. Both teams have done very well with the over, 8-6 on the year. The problem is, though, is that one of the reasons the Cardinals have done so well is because of all the points that they're giving up them on their own. I'm not convinced that they're going to score a ton against Seattle here, so I'm going to side with the under. It feels like this is just a tad bit too high for me right now. You know, the Cardinals offense has been extremely inconsistent. Russell Wilson has not been the same guy that we saw from the beginning of the year. This is one of those games where we kind of could see flashes of what we saw at the beginning of the year, but as of right now, this feels just a little bit too high. And really it's because of the Cardinals, not because of the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks will be able to score, 25, 27, 30 points in this game here, but I'm not sure that the Cardinals are going to be able to make up the difference.
Reed, are you convinced Kyler and the Cardinals can score a lot here and keep up?
Well, one thing I'm convinced is Mog Josh has a fantastic jacket, by the way, in that last segment. I need to get me one of those. I think it might be a Burberry, whatever it is. I need to get me one of those. But going back to the question, absolutely. I agree with Steve. This one is really tough. It's high. You think of these defenses as not being as stout as they used to be, and especially in the Cardinals time. Kyler is playing better than he has, but he's just not accumulating the yards and the type of production to get to this over. The secondary for Seattle, we know what it's like. And look, we've seen the Cardinals, what they want to do. They want to run the ball with Kenyon Drake. That's what they did against a bad Cleveland team. but that's just kind of has that feel. But this division, we talked about it yesterday. These division games are always kind of have to be treated in a vacuum, and like the over has hit in 4 of their last meetings in Seattle. So take that for what it's worth. But I still think this is going under.
Jeff, Reed's kind of got me convinced here, bud.
Yeah, I'm fairly convinced too. I'd like this number better if it was 49.5 or a little bit lower, but I'm still lean over here. I mean, the overs hit 9 out of the last 14 times in Seattle's home games. This is a team that at home puts up points, and it's not like their defense is shut down. They were also without Shaq Griffin in their last game, who's still banged up. That could be a big plus for the Cardinals. Jadeveon Clowney's banged up. Like, the Seattle's not exactly a healthy team right now either. Arizona's offense got going last week. I would just lean over here. I just feel like there's too many factors with the fast pace, the good quarterbacking, that this has a better chance to go over even at 50.5, which I think is a pretty good number. But I just don't trust these defenses enough to keep it going under. So I take the over.
Jeff, what's in that mug, man? Come on. It's too early.
Oh.
Don't worry, Reed. We'll get to you later, okay, bud? You calm down.
Whoa. Steve shows up in the studio once a week and gets all testy.
Great
Takes are always
teaser,
good at the
Steve.
studio or at home. Doesn't matter, bud.
Rosalie, which way you leaning here in the Cards at Seahawks game? Try to be a little unbiased, okay?
Yeah, well, I must have the same thing in my cup that Jeff does, because I agree with him. You know what? Here's the thing, is that you have a divisional matchup, and there's consistencies that happen in these divisional matchups. You look at the last 3 years between the Cardinals and the Seahawks, 2 games each year, one early in the year, one in December. The early game, always around 37 points. The later game, always around this point total. So around 51 points. Earlier in the year, point total 37. This time, point total going to be over 50s. Yeah, you know what? They're struggling a little bit, the Cardinals, on offense. But both of these defenses are terrible. And if you look at what these teams have done over the course of this year, Cardinals have 7 games over this point total. Seahawks have 8 games over this point total. I think this goes over.
All right, Chiefs at Bears, 44.5 is your over-under. Reed.
Yeah, look, I'm going under here. It's just the Kansas City defense. Look, they've actually been playing better than what we're used to. They moved up a couple spots in total DVOA. And it's not necessarily because they can stop the run. It's because they're stopping the pass, and they're letting other teams run the ball and say, hey, look, if you want to slow this game down and run the ball, we'll let you do that. We'll just cover you guys on the pass and then score really quickly with Tyreek Hill and these guys like Travis Kelce and essentially go off of what their strengths are on offense. Kansas City is a team that can really just hunker down on defense and stop the pass and let you guys run and just run up the score. So I'm going to say under here.
Jeff, this is the highest total for a Bears game since their total closed at 46.5 in Week 1 with the Packers, and that game was a 10-3 loss.
I mean, it's an interesting stat, but it's Kansas City on the road. I just go over here all the time. They're 10-4 since Patrick Mahomes took over at quarterback in road games, hitting the over. Chicago's, I know their offense has been hit or miss, but at the same time, like, you got to feel like they're probably going to see some prevent defense late in this game. They almost scored a garbage touchdown late in last week's game. I think this goes over. I just feel like it's too low for a Kansas City game. When are you ever going to get the Chiefs at 44.5? I don't care who they're playing. Take the over.
Yeah, Rosalie, so it's the second highest total for the Bears this season, but the second lowest total for the Chiefs this season.
Yeah, it's interesting to look because the Bears are actually, as much as we don't think of them being these offensive juggernauts, right? They're 5-0 going over at this point total at home. But throughout this season, they only have 4 games total this year over this point total. And when you look at the Chiefs, you know, we're used to them scoring a lot of points. So this seems, as to Jeff's point, to be an easy over. But the Chiefs, as of late, not scoring as many points, right? And they're holding their opponents to lower scores over the past 5 games. So I actually think that I agree with Reed's point. I think that they slow down the pace of this, that they allow the other team to run, and they just score the points through the air. And so I think this goes under.
Steve, you take the under here. Chiefs defense kind of rounding into form. Bears offense has a top 30 points
Yeah,
once,
I
I guess,
totally,
since week 3.
I'm totally taking the under here. Like, I keep trying to hammer this home each and every week. The Chiefs secondary is borderline elite this season. Like, I don't understand why they don't get the recognition that they do. Like, they are in the conversation with the 49ers. They are in the conversation with the Patriots when it comes to this secondary. So kind of like what Reed and Rosalie said, you definitely can run against this team. But if we're running, we're talking about a slower paced game. You know, you might be able to find some success there. But I still think this game goes under here, just because how many issues I think the Bears are going to have trying to throw through the air. They'll definitely have some success with Montgomery on the ground, but man, the Chiefs secondary has just been that good. Just go back and look at their stats and what they're allowing through the air. It really hasn't been much at all. So got to give that respect there and take the under.
We are not done with the quad box just yet. Coming up, we will put one of you on blast, and we'll grab some off-the-wall picks. But first, Pat Mayo would like to help you roster a Week 16 defense.
Let's turn to defenses for Week 16. You can have your locked-in defense or a streamer, hardly newer. So, number 1, Pittsburgh. Number 2, Baltimore. Number 3, New England. Then the Niners, Texans, Bills, Chiefs, Saints, Broncos, Colts. After that, I have the Giants, the Falcons, Seahawks, Redskins, Cowboys, Bengals, Jets, Bucks, Dolphins, and Bears. That is my top 20 for defenses this week. Make the case up, make the case down, or you can say, Pat, you know your defenses. You're absolutely right.
That's the case most of the weeks. I think Denver is the only one of that list that's a streamer at this point. They're all, because I think they're highly owned. I think Denver's the best one. The only ones, and I'm going to say ones because they're in the same game, I would swap the Redskins and the Giants.
You would
Eli Manning or Daniel Jones throwing interceptions. There's guaranteed turnovers. I know Haskins that initially did, but Haskins, I'm not even talking about his breakout game last week. Haskins has been so checked down and starting to become conservative that I don't even know if the Giants get a turnover in this game. So I would do on the turnover potential alone. I'd rather have the Redskins versus the Giants.
Well, just thinking about it, it depends on who drops back to pass more. And I would expect that to be Eli over Haskins simply because Bill Callahan is very committed to running the ball.
Right, so you want the Redskins.
So that's one thing. However, every time that Haskins drops back, it's like 6 points waiting to happen. We saw it at the very end of the game.
It is, but also Eli Manning still had 3 interceptions in that last game.
The biggest thing for me is just looking at the pressure rates on everything. So if we just sort by...
Aren't they very close?
I thought maybe I have this wrong. I just assumed the Giants were way ahead of them, but maybe I am completely wrong on this.
That's what the Redskins were.
Oh, no, it is. It is Washington is better. You're right. You're absolutely right, Jake, using my own logic against me. You have won this round. I will put Washington one spot behind. I'll put them one spot ahead of Indianapolis. I'll just put them where I have the Giants, and I'll move the Giants where I have Washington. So I'll put the Giants now at... No, I probably like the Cowboys better, too. I'll put them behind the Cowboys in between the Bengals, now that I've thought about this more.
Okay, fair enough.
I like it. Thank you for the heads up on that. Good tip.
Hey, it's Week 16. These things are bound to happen at this point, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I for whatever reason, in the back of my mind, when I looked at it I don't know what I was looking at. Maybe I had sorted it incorrectly, but I had the Giants as way higher than they're actually listed. For reference, Washington right now is 5th in adjusted sack rate for the season, and that's been climbing every single week. The New York Giants are actually down to 21st, which has been dropping every single week. So you just hope that Barkley doesn't go mental in this game, and Eli actually has to drop back to pass, which, as I kind of pointed out earlier, I would expect Eli to pass more than Haskins.
So there you go. Look, a nickname and the defenses. It's a crazy episode.
You're having your moment in Week 16, Jake. The accuracy of your picks wasn't good enough. You really won me over this week.
There you go.
It is time for some NBA Hot or Not with these guys. DK Nation NBA editor Ben Swyman, RotoWire's Alex Brutha right there in the middle, and the host of the Four Seasons podcast for Ball is Live, Ryan Mogjosh. Hey, Ryan, not sure if you heard earlier, but Reed T. Fowler is a massive fan of the outfit you're wearing today.
I sure did. He's got the hair, though, so if we could just combine the two, we'd be a juggernaut.
Yes, you guys would be. All right, gentlemen, will the following players stay hot, giving you that fire flame emoji in the DraftKings app, or will they be donning the snowflake, meaning a snoozle of a performance, and you wasted all of your money? Chris Paul versus Memphis. 60.5 DK points in his last game. Does he stay hot, Ryan?
I'm going to say he goes down to lukewarm.
Okay.
He's been on a heater recently, but 60.5, 43, 41.2, and 37 his last 4 DraftKings points games. You're not going to get an Oklahoma City blowout, so there's no blowout warning. So that part I like, but I just don't think that he can stay up to the heat that he's been on. So I'm going to go lukewarm.
Ben, what kind of performance does Chris Paul deliver for the people tonight?
Yeah, I kind of agree there. I don't really think we should expect a game like he did against the Bulls, just because the Bulls' collapse was monumental. I don't think Chris Paul is going to get close to a triple-double, but this is a good matchup, right? The Grizzlies aren't a great defensive team. They're bottom 10 in terms of defensive rating. They give up a lot of second-chance points. Yeah, I mean, it's a good pace-up matchup for the Thunder, so the Grizzlies play at a faster pace, so I think that plays to Chris Paul's strengths. So I think we're looking at a game where he can probably score around like 16 points and get to maybe a double-double and assists, which is fine. But again, you have to consider this is a very high price point for him. I think it's his highest price point all season long at $7,500. So I'd like him a little bit more if he were a little bit cheaper. But yeah, I think I agree. I think you're going to get something in between. I don't think you're going to get a ceiling game like 60 points, but you should see around like 35, 40 DraftKings points.
Alex, Chris Paul tonight facing Memphis, hot or not?
This is a game that he should be able to stay hot in. I mean, Grizzlies allow the 5th most points per game. We touched on how bad their defense is. I just don't trust Chris Paul in general to take enough shots to reach that kind of production on a consistent basis. He also is not going to shoot 6 for 8 from 3 again. But Chris Paul has taken single-digit shot attempts 10 times this season. There's just a lot of games where guys like SGA or Gallinari or even Dennis Schroeder, walk into 15, 16, 17 shot attempts, and Chris Paul, plays more of a distributor role. And so if you could guarantee me that Chris Paul takes 15 shots, I would love to play him, but I just really can't trust the field goal attempts, even if the matchup is theoretically good.
Ben, you're up next. Zach LaVine at Washington, probable tonight after suffering a shin contusion last time out, or a bruise, whichever one you prefer. 40-plus DK points in 4 of his last 5 games. Hot or not this evening?
Yeah, I think it's hot. I mean, I would be prudent if I was saying that he wasn't going to be hot just off of some sort of whim, because this is arguably the best matchup for anyone in fantasy against the Wizards, right? They're allowing the most points per game. They're allowing opponents to shoot 38.2% from downtown. So, yeah, I mean, LaVine's sort of taken on that role of being the go-to guy for the Bulls, and they've been awful this season, but it's mostly because of, mental mistakes and stuff like that, and their offense hasn't been very efficient. LaVine wasn't great from distance last game against the Thunder, and that collapsed 3 of 11. But generally, he's been pretty streaky from 3, so I think this is a spot where, against the Wizards, who are the worst defensive team in the league, in a spot where, the pace is up in this game, the Bulls offense should really thrive. So yeah, I mean, the price is a bit high on LaVine at 8,100, but I think he should be able to get to like 45 points, 45 DraftKings points, that is, not 45 real points. That'd be a little crazy, but not outlandish. It could happen. So yeah, I think Zach LaVine stays hot tonight.
Anything is possible, Ben. Alex, Zach LaVine, he's rolling. He's facing a terrible defense. Not that there's such thing as a good defense in the NBA, but is he going to be hot or not?
Yeah, Washington, historically awful defense. LaVine's actually been better on the road, about 8 DraftKings points better away from Chicago. He's taken at least 20 field goal attempts the past 2 games. When he does that, he averages 46 DraftKings points on the season. So he's for me, he's the ultimate, plug him in against a bad defense guy. I think, jokingly, he could get 46 real life points. It would be a lot, but it also wouldn't shock me. So I think you're getting him at a fair price. Not ideal, but he probably won't slip too far below 8K, maybe the entire season. So I do like this matchup here.
Ryan, what's more likely for Zach LaVine tonight? 40-plus DK points or 40-plus real-life points?
Interesting. Yeah. More likely DraftKings points, but I'm not saying he won't get 45 real-life points.
Oh,
I have the conspiracy theory. I think that the Wizards play for DraftKings points and not to win NBA games. And I spam Wizards players, and I spam the team that the Wizards are playing, their players in daily fantasy. So I love the mix-up of playing fast and playing no defense that the Wizards do all the time, and they kind of sucker their opponents into playing that style too. And LaVine's the perfect candidate for that, a flamethrower, a heat checker. I don't know if he necessarily cares about wins, but he damn sure cares about his own stats. So I love LaVine staying hot.
Alex, Hassan Whiteside against this lowly Golden State team right now, averaging 47 DK points over his last 6. You like him to stay hot? Should he just go off tonight?
I think so. I mean, he's averaging 47 DraftKings points over the past 6 games. He's actually averaging 46 DraftKings points at home on the season as an average. So he plays really well in Portland. The Warriors allow the 7th highest field goal percentage at the rim. I mean, they keep the tempo low enough to where they're not giving up a ton of rebounds, anything like that. But he's just been really good all year, and I don't really have a reason to think that the Warriors are going to be the one to put a stop to it.
Ryan, what do you think?
I'm going to say he goes cold.
Ooh.
Whiteside has been spooky consistent, like not himself. He's usually dependable to be showing up to the arena one night and then not showing up the next night. And these stats back him up. He's been good, but I think water always finds its level, and why not tonight? Whiteside, I think he goes cold tonight.
Ben, the fire emoji or the snowflake emoji?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Ryan's thinking, right? I sort of think that Whiteside's just been too good lately, and it's sort of one of those trap spots where, you know, he's reached his peak in DraftKings price at 8,500, which is really high for a guy like Whiteside, right? His he's hit some of his ceiling games close to 60 DKFP, but like that's not something that he usually does consistently. So I think this is sort of a trap spot. Again, it's a really good matchup. The Warriors aren't a great defensive team. They don't really have an answer for his size down low. But yeah, I mean, I could see a scenario where the Blazers blow out the Warriors, and this is a game where Whiteside doesn't really get a lot of minutes, which is what I would be concerned of. And yeah, I just kind of think this is sort of a trap. So I think he goes cold also.
Ryan, Kristaps Porzingis, he's at home against the Celtics. I mean, back-to-back 50 DK point performances for the Unicorn, especially with Luka out. Can he keep it up tonight against the Celtics?
Yeah, he can. Kristaps is the guy without Luka now. I think this is going to be a close game. I had Boston in the last segment winning, but I still think it's close. I think K. Porzy gets the most touches and the most shot attempts maybe that he gets all season tonight. But yeah, I think he stays hot. I think he forces his hand, and I like Kristaps tonight.
Ben, I feel like he's in a great spot.
Yeah, so do I, man. I feel the same way that you do.
Thank you.
Again, it's sort of a price thing, right? A lot of these guys that we're sort of highlighting are seeing their prices rise a lot. So Porzingis is up at 8,300. So that's sort of what would turn me off a little bit, because he needs to really reach pretty high, like 50 points to return, you know, good solid GPP value. But yeah, I mean, the Celtics don't have a lot of size in their front court. They don't have guys that can really defend down low. We could see them go with a lot of smaller lineups, right? They're using those lineups with Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown, and then Daniel Tice, guys like that. So Tice is a good defender, but can he really come out and deal with Porzingis stretching the floor? I don't know. So yeah, I sort of like Porzingis to stay hot tonight. Again, he's going to get very high usage with no Luka. Jalen Brunson's filled in really great for Doncic last game and in that game that Doncic got hurt against the Heat. So I really don't think – I think that suits Porzingis a lot better, right? I think Porzingis will really get fed the ball a lot. He'll see a lot of three-point shots. Again, the guys mentioned that this game we talked about before, how the game's going to be pretty close, so it should be tight, which should mean Porzingis reaches, around 36, 38 minutes in this game.
Alex, Ryan, Ben, and Emerson thinks that the Unicorn will stay hot tonight. What do you think?
I think so too. I mean, they have enough distributors to keep giving them the ball. The Celtics allow the 5th most 3-point attempts per game. I mean, they have a good defense overall, but like we mentioned before, I mean, the size of Boston isn't really that intimidating for Porzingis. He can just kind of shoot over everybody, which is he was even shooting over Giannis the other day. So, and Porzingis averages 56 DraftKings points per 36 minutes with Doncic off the court this season. Obviously, that's been fueled in large part, with the last couple games. But yeah, I mean, he's been great so far. You are buying high on him, but I think he definitely do it. He's been playing basketball again for the past few months. I think he's finally found his rhythm. I think this is a good opportunity for him against Boston to keep it going.
Slate approved time, gentlemen. Who is your favorite play on this 9-game slate? Ben.
You had to go with me first, didn't you?
Okay, well, forget it. If you don't want to be prepared, that's fine. Alex, how about it?
I am actually going to go with LaVine. I think Zach LaVine against the Washington defense, always a good place to exploit. The shot attempts are really encouraging. He's better on the road. I think a lot of factors are just playing in his favor.
Ryan, you're good. You're prepared. How about it?
Well, he just stole mine, and I don't have a backup plan. I love LaVine. I love playing guys that play against the Wizards. Everything in that matchup, I absolutely love. So I'm going to double down on LaVine. Great pick.
Ben, we have given you an extra 30 seconds here to have your pick ready to go. Are you ready?
All right, I got one. I'm ready.
All right, go ahead. Okay. Make something up.
All right. I'm not going to make it up too much. So if Cat does end up not playing, I like Andrew Wiggins a lot at 7,600. He's actually played really well over his last 3 games, at least 23 points in 3 straight. I think he's a viable play even if Cat is playing, just because the Pelicans' defense is really awful. So yeah, if I'm looking in that mid-range, I think Wiggins is a great way to go. He's going to get a ton of minutes. He's played at least 37 minutes in each of the past 3 games, so he's getting pretty high usage there. So yeah, if Cat's out, I think Wiggins is a chalk play. If Cat plays, I still think Wiggins is a strong core play.
Ben, Ryan, Alex, thank you, friends. You are free to go, all of you. We've got the NFL squad returning right after we remind you about Reed T. Fowler's incredibly cold take on Marlon Mack from earlier this week.
Marlon Mack, again, he's not getting targets out of the backfield. But if you want to be contrarian and save some money, no one's going to go to Marlon Mack because of that.
Marlon Mack. I do not know why Reed likes Marlon Mack in this game.
Me neither.
It's bizarre, to be honest. And the Colts will take Marlon Mack out of the game if they get behind and put in more Hines. So I kind of like the Hines call by Steve, although he's not a guaranteed either. But 3,800, he's much more palatable for me with the PPR scoring than Marlon Mack.
Mark the tape, Durgan. Mark the tape, Marlon Mack.
Look the tape.
Oh, boy. Okay. 11 rushes, 19 yards.
Look at that line, baby.
A whopping 1.9 DK fantasy points. Fowler, Jeff and Steve warned you here, pal. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, a couple of things. One, I enjoyed Jeff's beanie because he was having a bad hair day, and a lot of us do have bad hair days on camera, so I appreciate that. Number 2, yeah, this was terrible. I have nothing else to say about this. But look, the process was there.
No, it wasn't.
It's just the outcome wasn't there. Of course, right? You have to have some parity on the show. We can't just come out and say Mike Thomas, Drew Brees, which clearly were the top plays. You have to go some contrarian plays, and I went there, and I totally struck out. I take it. I'll take that on chin.
Steve?
Good.
There was no process. The Colts were 8-point underdogs. They've been one of the better run defenses in the league, and Marlon Mack doesn't catch passes. What was it? I don't get it. What was it?
It was not just saying all the chalky plays on that show, Steve. Of course, Mike Thomas and Drew Brees and all these guys and Nyheim Hines, yada, yada. How did Nyheim Hines do? Did he do well?
I mean,
no one on the Colts team did well. No one on the Colts team did well. So it's not just Marlon Mack. It's that entire team was garbage. They showed up to that stadium, but they didn't decide to play. So, the process, again, was there, but just the results weren't. Come on, Steve.
Jeff.
Anyway, A+ job by our producers. It's just amazing.
Yes, yeah. Well, you know what? What really set us off here was when Reed was like, hey, Matthew Durgan, our producer, mark the tape. Durgan's like, all right, I'm going to mark the tape. And, of course, everyone's watching Marlon Mack that night. And it's like, oh, excellent. We have content for later this week.
There we go. That's what I do.
Okay, Rosalie Michaels, you were here as well. Everyone's already heard from the other 3 jabronis. Now is off the wall. This is when you guys give us your off-the-wall picks for Week 16. So, Low ownership, bad matchup, kind of like an unknown guy. We're kind of working off of Reed's Marlon Mack selection here. And then you guys feel free to banter back and forth, give each other crap for it. Jeff, your off-the-wall pick for Week 16. Who is it?
Yeah, 1.9 points. That's the floor here. I'm going Sim City. Steve Sims in Washington. Look, Trey Quinn is out. Offensive coordinator said they want to get Sims more involved in the slot, and they have 19 targets over the last 2 games. Going up against the Giants defense that just got rid of their best cornerback. I mean, this is a great setup. The only worry here is that Eli Manning throws like 2 pick sixes, and they don't throw much. But I really like Sims at 4K.
All right, you know who doesn't hate this selection is actually Reed, who has the same guy. Look at the Reed's face. It's like, damn you, Ulrich.
Well, look, this week, Marlon Mack. No, I'm just kidding. Steve Sims is a good call there. He's a good call. Look, I mean, if I'm not going to go with the same, that was my choice, but I think Kareem Hunt, and Rosalie and I talked about this yesterday, is in a decent spot. He has a terrible matchup, right? I mean, a terrible matchup again, choosing a running back in a terrible matchup, and no one wants to play in Cleveland. Everyone wants out, but Kareem Hunt is the guy. Look, he kind of is that de facto slot receiver. He's getting 8 targets, or at least in that range in these last few games. And this team is going to be down by a lot. Like, I'm hoping it's not 1.9 DK fantasy points from Kareem Hunt, but he is a guy that's been put into this offense and is an integral part in this offense. This is a bad matchup. The Baltimore Ravens might come out and absolutely smoke this team. It's going to be a lot of Kareem Hunt, if not Sims, who is going to have a huge, huge game against the Giants.
Rosalie, what do you expect from Sims?
Not a whole heck of a lot. Number one, because Dwayne Haskins is going to be throwing to him. Number two, Callahan has said they want to give Adrian Peterson the ball a lot because he's going towards that consecutive 1,000-yard season. And we saw it last week out of Adrian Peterson with his 18 fantasy points that he scored last week. So I think you're going to see a lot more Adrian Peterson and a lot more of the run game than you are of the passing game. And when the passing game happens, it's going to go to the tight ends and to T-Mac. So I'm a little worried about Sims. It's a good punt. I don't hate it against the Giants, but I don't love it either.
All right, Steve, off the wall, who's your man?
Well, real quick, before we get into it, I had actually changed my mind. I had initially had Steve Sims down. So we almost had 3 for 4. So.
All right, would have been a very quick segment.
Good, I've got somebody different.
I actually have David Moore down from the Seattle Seahawks. So Josh Gordon is out of the mix once again for the 5th time getting suspended by the NFL. So somebody's going to have to carve a wide receiver 3 role in this offense. So we have Tyler Lockett, we have DK Metcalf, and then it's going to be likely David Moore, maybe Malik Turner could be in the mix too as well. But before Gordon came in, Moore was playing on the majority of the snaps, has gone way down since Josh Gordon came onto the team. But now he kind of has the opportunity to get back into it, and obviously the matchup is very good too as well for the Seahawks. So I think it could be something that's going to be totally going overlooked. We're going to have to kind of watch how practice shakes out during the week, if Turner's getting more snaps or if it's Moore. But I think one of these guys at least is going to have a bigger role in the Seattle offense for the rest of the season.
Jeff, I feel like Steve is not off his rocker here. Not a bad selection.
No, I don't think he's off his rocker either. I mean, it's a game with over 50-point total. It's a game where Seattle is expected to put up a bunch of points, and it's going up against one of the worst secondaries in the league and a team that likes to play at the fastest pace. David Moore has proven he can catch a long ball from Russell Wilson, who's perhaps the best downfield passer in the league, especially on deep balls. So I think at 3,300, this is very much in play. Look, we all like Sims, but I mean, Seattle's probably in a place to score more points than Washington, right? So, and he's also cheaper. So I think Moore is definitely in play this week. I like it. You can take advantage of that Josh Gordon situation.
Rosalie, your off-the-wall selection is a guy who somehow managed to squeak his way into the Pro Bowl.
Well, you know what? I'm not stupid in my off-the-wall pick, but, I mean, it's the matchup, right? And the mess that is in Cleveland. I'm going with Jarvis Landry. I'm saying he's going to have a monster day. Over 30 points. He's got the bad matchup versus Baltimore. It's a mess in Cleveland. Baker's got issues. It's got ugly written all over it, and I like it. I like it because Landry is now auditioning. It's like when you're dating and your man starts taking you for granted, you pull out your best dress, you put on your highest heels, and you go out for a girls' night.
Yes.
Landry's going to be showing off.
You hear that, Jeff?
The squeaky wheel works. That's right. So I like the Fire. You know, Baltimore just gave up 27 fantasy points to Crowder in the slot, which Landry is the actual slot guy, not Kareem Hunt. Yes, Kareem Hunt will get some overflow. And let's not forget, he did get 27.7 fantasy points in week 4 in this game. So Landry's pulling out his dress and his heels and is going to have a monster day.
All right, the Sweat becoming the newest and greatest lifestyle blog here as well. Steven, Jarvis Landry, you had a weird look on your face.
I mean, so let's see. It should be 7:52 where you're at right now. So don't talk to Rosalie before 8. She's got a wicked attitude that she brings to the show.
She admitted earlier she's having whatever is in Jeff's mug. She's having the same.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if Jeff's getting into a dress and heels, but to be seen later on. The thing with Landry too is that I don't know if I would consider it off the wall, but Landry is one of the better plays, at least for the Browns, just because of the amount of red zone work that he gets. He leads the team in red zone target share. I think it's at 35 coming into this week. So obviously there's nothing wrong with going with Landry there, but in terms of ownership, I mean, he kind of feels like the number one guy with the Browns right now because it's hard to trust someone like Odell Beckham who's dealing with a sports hernia, and the matchup isn't great either against the Ravens. So I don't know if I'd call it off the wall, but obviously there's nothing wrong with playing Landry this week either.
DJ Chark got robbed, y'all. Big time.
I don't know about that, but okay.
Yes, he did, dude. Yes, he did.
What did he get robbed
All right,
of?
hey, listen, you're in studio.
Yeah.
We can talk. What's that? Go ahead.
What did he get robbed of?
The Pro Bowl, bro.
Does anybody give two craps about the Pro Bowl?
That's all we have to root for, people in Jacksonville. Yes, it's the Pro Bowl, for crying out loud.
All right. I mean,
let the good people of Duval have this moment, and they ripped it out of your hands.
No, Minshew got robbed of the Pro Bowl.
You're damn right. Don't even get me started with him. Guys,
couldn't go a day without talking about the Jaguars.
Thank you. We're sponsored by Jacksonville.
All right, guys. Matthew Durgan, our producer, says the Jaguars hour is over. I got to wrap the show.
Darn.
Darn, yeah. You look real disappointed over there. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you to our NFL panel. Thank you, Reed, for being wrong about Marlon Mack. We'll see everyone tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock.